Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're tackling something absolutely fundamental to the human experience, cultivating your resilience threshold. Life, as we all know, is definitely not a smooth, predictable ride, right? It's full of unexpected turns, sudden drops, and just unavoidable challenges. But how we navigate those tough moments isn't just a matter of luck, it's a matter of profound preparation. Let's get right into it.
How do you face true adversity? I want you to let that phrase settle for just a second. True adversity. We're not talking about a minor daily hiccup here, like getting a flat tire or your favorite coffee shop running out of oat milk. The source material we're unpacking explicitly uses this powerful phrase to describe those monumental, life-altering challenges that test the absolute limits of our strength and our spirit. When that intense level of difficulty inevitably arrives, how do you actually face it?
Okay, let's dive into this. The text we're analyzing operates on a really foundational truth. True adversity is not a maybe, it's an inevitability. It is an absolute reality every single one of us must eventually encounter. Notice the text doesn't say if you face adversity, it frames everything around your ability to handle it when it undeniably comes knocking. That's a subtle but honestly profound shift in perspective. Acknowledging that intense stress is inevitable completely removes the shock factor, and it lets us focus entirely on our internal capacity to handle it.
Now, what's really interesting here is the specific use of the word threshold. We so often talk about resilience casually, kind of like it's just a passive personality trait. You either have it or you don't. But our source text introduces the concept of a resilience threshold. It defines it as a conceptual, measurable baseline that dictates our capacity to respond to intense stress and challenges. Think of it like a bridge's maximum load-bearing weight. For your psychological and emotional endurance, it's the limit before your systems start to break down. It's an actual, defined boundary line right there inside you.
And when we actually hit that threshold limit, when true adversity really strikes, our response fundamentally splits into two very different outcomes. The path forward isn't just a single, wide road where everyone has the exact same experience. No, it diverges sharply, and it's based entirely on where your personal resilience threshold is currently set. The source material draws a super distinct, almost stark line between these two potential realities that we are forced to walk.
So the crucial point is the striking difference between merely surviving and actually growing. The text explicitly uses two distinct verbs to describe our potential outcomes: cope and thrive. Coping is basically survival mode. It means merely surviving the adversity, keeping your head just above water, and maybe coming out heavily depleted on the other side. But thriving? Thriving is an active, empowered state. It means growing and flourishing in the face of that adversity. The ultimate goal isn't just to scrape by and make it through the storm. The goal is to rise above it and come out stronger. But how do we guarantee we end up on the thriving side of that equation? Well, here is where the source material shifts from theory into a truly powerful imperative. It gives us an action plan, and that plan is rooted entirely in a single word: practice. We are told we must practice raising our limit. This is a highly active, totally intentional process. It means your resilience threshold is not fixed at birth. It's malleable. It's exactly like a physical muscle. And just like a muscle, the absolute only way to increase its capacity is through deliberate, consistent practice before the heavy lifting is actually required of you. This means intentionally seeking out manageable discomfort, maybe ending your shower with cold water, voluntarily having that tough conversation you've been putting off, or just pushing through the last mile of a run. You're exposing yourself to microdoses of stress to build up that tolerance.
And this brilliantly illustrates how active cultivation elevates your capacity. Think about the stark difference here. If we just rely on our default threshold, that baseline capacity we naturally possess without any intentional effort, it's lower. It makes us significantly more vulnerable when true adversity hits, often leaving us completely stuck in that mere coping phase we just talked about. But compare that to a cultivated threshold. By actively practicing and pushing our boundaries in those manageable daily ways, we literally elevate our limit. We pull ourselves from a state of passive survival into a dynamic state of growth, building the much-needed headroom to actually handle life's heaviest blows. Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of all these concepts, straight from our source material. You need to practice raising your resilience threshold to be able to cope and thrive in the face of true adversity. Every single word in that quote carries immense weight. The absolute necessity of need, the proactive action of practice raising, those dual, towering goals of being able to cope and thrive, and the undeniable reality of true adversity. It really is a complete, totally empowering blueprint for navigating the hardest parts of the human experience.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a lingering challenge derived straight from the vocabulary we've just unpacked together. It's a question you will inevitably have to answer. When that moment arrives and you stand face to face with true adversity, will you merely cope or will you thrive? The answer, as we've learned today, depends entirely on the threshold you choose to build right now. Keep practicing, keep raising your limit,